give it to Henry. Left side, Henry with a hole. Steps over a tackler, he's in! Derrick Henry is over 1,000 yards rushing for this season. It's week 9.
How about Derrick Henry?
On November 3rd, Derrick Henry became the first running back to join this season's 1,000-yard club. I was a member 6 times.
Tiki Barber has 1,001 yards on the season.
All 6 times, every yard was tough sledding.
That's a pretty good barrier to break in a season.
Goff turns, gives to Montgomery over the left side, and that should put him right at 1,000 for the season.
You've been able to stay on the field, and then certainly the production has been up there to reach that mark.
Hands off to McCaffrey off the left side, and he's got 1,000 yards. The first 49er back since the great Frank Gore to rush for 1,000 yards.
Like 11 players on a team and a 100-yard field, there's something magical about 1,000 yards.
The bus has hit 1,000.
It's a number possible to attain, but supremely difficult to achieve.
It was hard. It was a challenge. It never seemed easy for me, and it was never a given.
Barry Sanders going over the 1,000-yard mark.
It was important to me for historical reasons. 1,000 yards has been sort of the marker.
Larry Zonka, the first Dolphin to gain over 1,000 yards.
Stats are for losers, but it's a feat that's been designated for us for years. You remember growing up seeing your first football card when you had a 1,000-yard rusher.
And Eric Dickerson, with that 7-yard run, has now gone over 1,000.
That sticks out to us now as a benchmark of greatness.
Once you start racking up certain types of stats.
There it is, over 1,000. He's on track to have maybe the best year that he's had.
Then now, you know, you're being keyed on, right? And now the point is to try to stop you.
Can you run the ball when the entire world knows you're going to run it?
1,000-yard rushing. It is awesome.
And Jonathan Taylor is over 1,000 yards rushing.
That number, you know, why it's 1,000, you know, there's probably a history behind it.
The first 1,000-yard rusher was this guy, Beatty Feathers, in 1934.
Feathers has it now, running wide, and looks like it's a touchdown.
The Bears halfback averaged 8.4 yards per carry, a record that still stands to this day.
Beanie Feathers, that's a name that I can think of a few Chicago running backs, but I'm not familiar with Beanie. I was surprised to learn that before my time, some of those guys had played 14-game seasons and 12-game seasons.
It wasn't until the 1980s and the advent of a 16-game season that membership in the 1,000-yard club became commonplace.
Here's Franco. He's going to get it with this carry. Over 1,000.
The great Walter Payton, over 1,000 yards. There's John Riggins. He has gained over 1,000 yards this year.
It's a milestone that mattered then and matters now.
Joe Mixon goes up and over 1,000 rushing yards.
Great job, Joe!
Players have an awareness of our game and the history of it.
I only need about 30, 40 more for the 1,000.
Players they may have watched coming up achieve that.
Jerome Bettis, he cracks the 1,000-yard plateau with that run.
You're in pretty good company to achieve, you know, the same amount, the same yards.
Even the GOAT dreamed of being a 1,000-yard rusher.
I see you 12, trying to get them 1,000 yards, boy. Okay.
It took almost 2 decades, but Tom Brady became an honorary member.
And Brady is out, and Brady is up to 1,000 rush yards in his 19-year NFL career on the button.
Nowadays, the 1,000-yard rusher has become a rare sight.
Congratulations, Raheem Mostert.
Cracking 1K, I'm sure you're going to be excited about that. I'm just blessed and excited.
Almost every team has a 1,000-yard receiver.
Mike Evans, and that's an 11-yard pickup. He is over 1,000 yards for the 10th consecutive season.
Last year, there were 28.
Only the 3rd player in NFL history to get 1,000 yards receiving in 10 or fewer games.
Only 12 running backs made the club.
Tony Pollard has his 1,000 yards.
8 of whom would have come up short in a 16-game season.
There's not a lot of guys that accomplish that. With having 17 games, you'd think that guys would be able to accomplish that on a more prevalent basis.
Kyren, in his second professional season, is over 1,000 yards. He's the first back since Todd Gurley in 2018 to do it in a Rams uniform.
1,000 yards is cool. It's something I work for every season.
There's not many teams that aren't using 2 runners. It could be one of those feats that gets more and more difficult.
Handoff, Robinson up the middle towards the goal line. Is he? And he is! Touchdown!
The game is evolving. You're seeing multiple running backs in a game, so we're splitting the carry more.
Touchdown, Washington! Austin Eckler!
Take the New York Jets. They haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since Chris Ivory in 2015.
That puts him over 1,000 yards rushing.
Multiple receivers get 1,000 yards. And you're seeing quarterbacks that are also rushing for another 1,000 with them.
Lamar Jackson becomes the first quarterback in NFL history to put together back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons.
That's what makes you marvel about the guys that still get that. The Derrick Henrys of the world and some of those guys that continuously rush for 1,000 yards this season.
Emmitt Smith is the NFL's all-time leading rusher.
That should do it! Emmitt Smith has eclipsed Walter Payton as the NFL's all-time rushing leader.
Yet Emmitt's most impressive record might not be his 18,355 career rushing yards, but 11. That's right, 11 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
And Emmitt Smith becomes the first man in NFL history to put 11,000-yard seasons back to back to back to back to back.
Today's pass-first offenses have made another milestone more attainable. A barrier the 49ers' Roger Craig first broke in 1985.
Roger Craig has done something that no one else has ever done in the history of the NFL. He's gotten over 1,000 yards rushing and over 1,000 yards receiving.
The 1,000 Club only has 2 other members.
How about Marshall Faulk? Who's the best?
How many yards? 17. We got to try to get him.
It's caught by McCaffrey.
Go.
First down. Exactly 17 yards.
You got 17 yards on that play. Hey, you got it literally exactly.
McCaffrey joins Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk in the 1,000 Club.
1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver. Those are standards that people have hit along the way. That's a benchmark. That's where somebody wants to start. And then where can you take it from there? What does 1,500 look like? Or what does 2,000 look like?
Henry charging forward for 5 yards at 2,000. History for the King.
2000 obviously puts you in a very, very elite group with the greats of the game.
It's been our great privilege to watch O.J. Simpson run for 2,000 yards.
A brand new single-season rushing record for Eric Dickerson. That should be 2,000.
Terrell Davis, only the 4th player in the 2,000-yard club. Jamal Lewis over the 2,000 mark.
Chris Johnson has just run into history.
Adrian Peterson with 2,000 yards this season.
It's probably the hardest thing to do in this game. To be able to eclipse 2,000 yards is truly one of those amazing, phenomenal things that, few running backs can say that they've done.
Derrick Henry has a chance to be the first 2-time member of the 2,000-yard club.
You're great, bro.
Appreciate it. Same to you, bro.
Keep it up.
I, like all running backs, am pulling for him. And somewhere, somehow, the ghost of Beatty Feathers is too.
The Kings have midfield and rolling. He